Shalom, it's your Maya call. Before we start off, we need to give praises to the Father and the Son. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Yahweh is who the people ignorantly call God, and Yahushua is who the people ignorantly call Jesus. You so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, you are the Hebrew Israelites, and also you're feeling inclined, you're feeling pulled to push this truth, then the Spirit is bearing witness to your spirit that you are also an Israelite. All right, so, we got a couple articles today, just in the news, we're at the point in time now where there's so many things, different things going on each day. It's just like, even if you try to cover everything, you'll still miss something because it's like now, where we're at now, 2025, just shit is just popping and going off, everywhere. And then I only expect things to continue to ramp up and get more deadlier, until the end be. It says Iran has just threatened a preemptive strike on U.S. bases following Trump's bomb threats. Tensions between Iran and United States have escalated sharply in recent days, with reports emerging that Iran is contemplating a preemptive military strike on a U.S. base in the region. So, tensions with the U.S. and, Iran is, heating up. You already got Russia and the U.S. not fucking with each other. Now you got, the U.S. talking about going to war with Iran. See, it's like the U.S. is just, picking a fight with everybody. A couple weeks ago, they were just, going at it with Canada. And speaking of Canada, their new prime minister said they cut all military alliances with the U.S. A couple weeks ago also, the president was going at it with, the president of Mexico, doing trade wars and stuff like that. So, it's like we are slowly but surely seeing America's allies, starting to turn and be like, fuck them. Because who would have ever thought Canada would drop all military alliance with the U.S., It's like, it's a lot, going on. The beast is starting to hate the whore, man. And the beast will be, these EU, NATO countries, Canada. And, the whore will obviously be America, a.k.a. Babylon the Great. It says, magma erupts from craters found around Iceland's Blue Lagoon resorts, forcing evacuations. So, these people, who thought it would be a good idea to put a fucking resort near a volcano? That's how you know these people's fucking head is not right, And, man, as we get closer to shit hitting the fan, all hell truly breaking loose. I expect more volcanoes that have been dormant for a long time to suddenly get very active and, cause a lot of, destruction, man. And, I wouldn't, even look at Yellowstone. I feel like eventually, man, Yellowstone, for the NB, Yellowstone gonna fucking activate, man. Nevada shaken by earthquake swarm, producing the strongest quake of 4.0. These earthquakes are starting to, intense and get more frequent, worldwide, man. Man, I also, man, expecting to see more earthquakes on the East Coast. Places that's not don't normally get earthquakes, Just everything heating up on a whole nother level. Just Putin drops 160,000 men into Russian army despite peace talks. Man, so Putin, he's starting to call and see, the West's bluff. He's starting to see that they only want peace in Ukraine so they can, Ukraine can get fresh troops on the front line, get more material, get more supplies there. And, Russia fell for that trick, when this war first started. But they starting to catch on to, America's and the West's, game, man. It says TikTok's days are numbered as it banned on April 5th nears. Man, it's going to be some people that kill themselves. Yeah, because they can't, get on TikTok. That's why, it shows you how, messed up some people's minds is in this, current day and age. It says U.S. bunker busting bombers are positioned in Indian Ocean as tensions mount with Iran. And if you go back to 2020, them Iranians didn't forget about 2020 when, the U.S. killed Soleimani. He was like a very high-ranking, military official in Iran. So, them Iranians, they ain't forget about that. They still want to put belt to ass to America, aka Babylon the Great, man. And Russia is saying that they would come to Iran's defense if the U.S. invaded them, bombed them, or attacked them. And when you look at it, the line in the sand has already been drawn. Just like this third woe that we're in has been fucking inevitable, man. And what's so spiritual is that how ironically, when the truth came back to America, aka Babylon the Great, when the Lord sent, Elder Bivens, we also know as Elijah, it's like ever since the Lord sent him, just like we just been getting closer and closer to the end. And you look at when he was on the scene, you got the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, now you look at, 60, 70-ish years later, you got, World War III. So it's like, this truth being pushed into the earth, it's just like, it's ushering in the end. It's like pushing this truth, you're helping usher in the end. Because, these words that we speak, it may, be perceived as nothing. But, these words that we're speaking, calling upon the name of the Lord, prophesying, whatever it may be, these words hold power, man. And that's why these devils do what they do. They fucking helicopters, they fucking agencies, whatever it may be. That's why these niggas do what they do, because they know the power of this truth being pushed. So it's way deeper than what most people think. It's like if you do a video, a regular person may just see it like, cool, you just did a video. But, also the words that you were speaking in the video holds power, man. says Iran loads missiles into launchers after Tehran delivers after Trump delivers threat to Tehran. So a lot of these articles we're seeing is revolving around the U.S. and Iran. So man, it's like always around the springtime. It's always something going on in the Middle East. Even though the Middle East is stuff always going on, but it seemed like always around the springtime. It's like it ignites in a way, and that's spiritual. That it ignites around every spring, because what we know is that the real new year just started like less than 3 weeks ago. So we entering into a new year of prophecy also. So it's like we could see how last year how we leaped tensions, war grew, So no, I expect this new year that we're in right now, I just started like a week or two ago. I expect shit to get even more crazier, man. No, man, I wouldn't be surprised if we on the doorsteps of a military drive come 2020, come the end of 2025, man. It wouldn't surprise me, not at all. Because I know, what times we are in there. This one right here, man. Mystery respiratory V in Russia leaves victims coughing up blood across multiple cities. Bruh, it's a lot going on in this earth, man. And if y'all remember back to when the Ukraine-Russia conflict started, it was, rumors, which they're not rumors, they're actually true, of, biolabs being in Ukraine. And in these biolabs, they can create, plagues or pathogens, whatever it may be. So, in this third world, we cannot rule out biological warfare, seeking plagues upon your enemy, man. And that's look like what happening in Russia. These niggas that's in charge of them biolabs in Ukraine more than likely release some shit in Russia, man. And that's biological warfare. And hey, could this spread and turn into something big? Yeah, it's a possibility. But we just gotta, keep watching and see, man. And coughing up blood at that. Like, that is wild. Hey, man. I honestly, man, we're gonna see another lockdown soon, man. Yeah, man, and we can't forget about, the earthquakes that have been happening. Myanmar earthquake in Buddhist heartland has left over 1,600 dead and countless buried. That is a massive judgment. It's just like, as the years and time goes on, it's like we are just starting to see more and more cases of massive judgment happen, where hundreds, if not thousands of people, die. And, as time goes on, we get closer to the day of the Lord. I only expect for more instances and more cases like this to happen and to get, more frequent. But this is another look. And we looking at this the list of all the different earthquakes that happen around the earth. So it's like a constant thing, man. You got earthquakes happening around the earth damn near every hour, man. So it's like the earth is constantly shaking. You know, these earthquakes is starting to get more frequent and more powerful at the same time. You look at this list, you're not just looking at a list of just all 2.0s, 3.0s. I'm seeing a lot of fives, a lot of fours, you know, some high fives. So no, it's like the earth is in a constant state of shaking in a way, man. And this world is, uneasy. This world is not at rest. You look at, the people, the wicked rulers that are in charge of this world, man. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. First we're going to hit 2nd Esdras 9 and 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, okay, look like we're having an earthquake like every hour somewhere in the world, man. And these earthquakes are starting to pick up intensity. And we had, in the past 7 days, we had 2 7.0s or higher, man. And right now these 7.0s isn't Maymar. But if we're in the end, don't you think eventually these 7.0s are going to start to hit this great harlot? Because we know Maymar is not that golden cup that's in the Lord's hand. Babylon the Great is that golden cup. So if we know that we live and reside in, what is the whore, it's like, you can't expect, anything good to come to this place, man. And, on top of that is protests, going on. It's supposed to be a protest here, I think later on this week. And, they're also, TikTok is going to be shutting down during that time these protests are going on also. So, could be, just something to watch out for. Because, TikTok, a lot of information and truth, is being shared on TikTok. It's even brothers, pushing the truth, on TikTok. So, that family of the word is, cracking down. Verse 2nd Esdras 9 and 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So, this time that we're living in right now, the end of the world, the last days, what they call it, these times were spoken of from the very beginning, man. So, we're just in here in these last days, just living and, hoping for the end, man. Except, we're hoping for the downfall of our enemy, man. We don't want this place to go on another 50 years, another 100 years, but, just like, we yearning for the destruction of this place. Even if yearning for the destruction of this place means you don't have running water, you don't have a fucking grocery store to go to, well, so fucking be it. Hey, if I gotta go through shit, hit the fan, all hell breaking loose to see this place destroyed, hell, I'm all for it, man. Because I feel at home in the woods anyway. This second Esdras 5 and Slakia, fifth second Esdras 15 and 14. Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein. For the destruction and their sword draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another. You notice how I said, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Didn't just say woe to one place, because this destruction is worldwide, as we're seeing. It's not restricted to one region, one continent. This is everything is under the firmament. Everything under the firmament, all these countries is getting hit with these plagues in various, different ways, man. It says, and one for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and sword in their hands. So, we're seeing one people fight against another in Ukraine right now. Yes, it's talking about on a militarily level, but also shit hitting the fan. It's going to be civil war in the streets of America, aka Babylon the Great. So not only you going to have various countries' militaries fighting, you going to have normal civilian niggas fighting on the street too, like they in a fucking military or a war. So it's going to be war, chaos going on all sides, man. You think Final Destination was bad. Final Destination, they not going to have shit on the last days, end times. That Jeremiah 30 and 7, Jacob's trouble, which we are in right now, man. It's just going to intensify. No, it has to intensify. Then, another thing it says, millions of bees have died this year. What may be worse be lost in recorded history. And this is in the U.S. So this is another plague. A lot of millions of bees dying. Okay, what is going to be the result of these millions of bees dying? Flowers, and some flowers, trees, fruits, vegetables, whatever it may be, it's not going to get pollinated. Because, bees, even though they're small creatures, they serve a very important role in, agriculture and, crops, flowers, whatever it, may be. So, that's going to, all these bees dying is going to further contribute, to the famine. So, with that, hope this lesson was edifying. The spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It's a lot going on these last days. So much so that it's so many articles that, you can really pick what you want to talk about. So it's like all these events happening, it gives us, a lot of more things to talk about, and we can back up what we're talking about with what we're seeing in these, articles, what's going on in the world. The end is being made manifest. You can fucking go to CNN, fucking go to YouTube, fucking go to TikTok, go to X. The end is made manifest. You can fucking see it, you can touch it, you can fucking smell it. But with that, hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All praises unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Until next time.